manufacturer comes to us and says, Brian, you have ordered too many trucks. We cannot build this many trucks, and so but we can build this many, and you've got to figure out, where you're going to sell those trucks, but this is how many you get.
Well, the problem is those trucks have probably already been sold, right? And now, so if I was a customer and I ordered 100 trucks from you, and the allocation comes out, that means that I may want 100, but I may only get 80.
We work with our customers as best as we can. I mean, it's a challenging market. We, guys have done business with us, guys like Rick, and we work to, make sure to get every single truck that we can for BCB.
Somebody's not getting a truck. Somebody who thought they were going to get a truck isn't going to get one, and that is what also creates that demand for the used truck, right? Because they still need a truck.
That drives into that demand.
Wow. Supply chain. We talk about parts. We talk about shortages. I mean, does it still exist, or is it over?
No, it still exists. We're still battling it. I think, and it seems really random. I mean, you think, things that you think, wow, why isn't this here? I go back to the shelf, and they're, brake drums. One day there's just not brake drums there. And we're scrambling around everywhere we can to get brake drums, and we get brake drums in, but maybe that one day you go back there and brake drums aren't there.
I've noticed a lot and talked to a lot, especially calling over to find stuff and helping with parts and talking about National Backorder seems to be the phrase of the day at the parts department. I don't know. I don't know.
That's a phrase I'd like to banish. I was like, why do we need to say National Backorder? But I think that today as a parts man, that's the biggest part of your job is sourcing parts. So our customer calls in and, immediately we type it on the computer. We say, we don't have that on the shelf. So, getting on the phone and calling and trying to source those from, wherever we can, make sure, your trucks are running. They need to be on the road. They don't need to be parked in the shop somewhere.
Absolutely. So. Tough position. And those parts, that supply chain has continued on. I mean, we saw that struggle last year, but that struggle continues today, and it's getting better.
I do believe it's
getting better, but it's still a struggle.
It's still real.
It's still a fight that you have to go in and roll your sleeves up every day and get busy to find what you need to find, right? I mean, that's really where we're at.
Every single day.
What about that supply of the mechanic, the supply of the worker at the Bruckner facilities? Are those? We see it here in every market, at shippers, receivers, at trucking companies, not just truck drivers, but office help, everything. I don't know where everybody is. That's just, we have the lowest employment that I think we've ever had now, yet we don't have anybody working. I don't know where they are.
Help wanted is still on the sign outside.
How are you doing as far as like that mechanic in
Diesel
that area?
mechanics.
That's a prime concern for us. I think as we've seen in our industry, a lot of guys aging out. It may be similar to the driver situation where people have been doing that a long time, and it's harder to attract young people into that field. I mean, the thought of I've got to crawl under that truck and oil's going to drip down on me, and maybe my hands are going to get dirty. It's a rewarding occupation for a lot of people. I mean, you get to fix that truck and you get to get it out on the road and it's running. You get somebody going again, but it's not as attractive a job as some jobs, and so we spend a lot of time working and to tell people that. You can make really great money as a mechanic. I mean, it's a fabulous occupation. It's guys that love to work with their hands, that love to work with computers. There's tons of technology now. It's more of a technology job in a lot of ways.
Thank you. That's what the trucking industry has really. I mean, we've been talking about it, but even on the shop side, this has become a technology industry.
Sure.
From mechanic shops. I mean, Dave, you're not going out there just changing anything anymore. You have a computer.
Hook it up. Yeah. Let's hook it up and see what the computer says. And now we have on-demand diagnostics that go to. We don't even see it. It goes straight to the dealership or goes straight to the manufacturer and lets us know the problem before we ever see the problem. And then we get a call that says, hey, you got a problem fixing to happen. These kinds of technologies are just mind-boggling as to what they were 30 years ago, when it broke, it was it was making that noise outside. That's how you knew when it was flapping and banging on the concrete. Then you knew it was broken.
Yeah, we can absolutely pinpoint any point in time and know what's going on with that truck, whether it's how that engine's operating, if there's any fault codes, just exactly what's happening with that truck in any point in time and through time, which is massive amounts of data, and being able to analyze that and fine tune that truck in. So that's, you think about that technology, that's what truck technician is now. I mean, you're a big data guy if you're a technician.
Wow. And as we talk about it, and I mentioned it to you earlier, and I was thinking of it, as we move to more of this technology, this EV technology, we're not even talking about we're talking about not even diesel mechanics anymore, are we? We're really talking about a truck mechanic that can work on both diesel and or electric, right? I mean, we're moving that way.
Potentially. I mean, you think of all the technology that's involved in EV is it's huge. I mean, at that point, I mean, you're plugging in and most everything happens on the computer. It's not crawling under the truck and taking the
banging
whole
on with a hammer
down,
and banging on
big hammers. I love big hammers. I want to hammer on something.
I got to break this free. It's changed a lot, dramatically a lot, and there's an incredible amount of stuff going on. I just when you go out into the shop and you as it was, what's the biggest difference? Because I know as you go out there, is it all the computers that are out there? Is that really the main difference?
Yeah, absolutely. When I was a kid, I started working in the shop when I was in junior high.
Right.
And I was that kid with the broom out there. I was sweeping it up.
I've manhandled one of those before.
I'm checked out on that broom. I know how to run that sucker. But
certified.
So, the big guy, the top dog in the shop when I was a kid was the engine tech, the guy that was rebuilding engines and taking care of that, and still that's a super important job. I mean, we still, engine rebuilder. I mean, that's pretty technical stuff when you start rebuilding a diesel engine. But now you walk into the front of the shop and the first guy you see is the guy that's plugging in with the computer and he's downloading the files off that truck and going through diagnostic routines and putting in new programs and that's really where it's at and where the industry's moving as far as technicians and what happens in the shop. So it's so much quieter now. It's incredible.
Are they working out there?
Are they doing anything? What's going on?
Are y'all working out there?
You used to go out there and, like you say, I mean, guys like me with big hammers and they're whistling knock that loose.
Technology does that. So we have a brokerage office out here as well. So we'll walk into the brokerage office and it's the quietest thing. Like, who's talking? Is anybody calling anybody? Nobody's mad or what's going on in here? And everybody's just typing, emailing a customer, accepting freight electronically. I'm like, where's the noise? Where's the racket at? Where's the people being thrown across the room? Where's the chaos at? And it doesn't exist the same way. Hey, but Brian, in our industry, we have a major shortage when it comes to the drivers. The same thing inside the office. And, we're trying to get creative. How do we bring in that 18-year-old instead of going to college? How do we get them out of high school? How do we get them interested in starting a career in the transportation industry? Is there anything that is there a program that you're going to have or you have today that kind of attracts some of these high school kids that are seniors that says, hey, you know what? Come over here. Start as a parts runner. Start as working in our shop so we can teach you and educate you today on what we do.
Yeah. I think, when you think about high school counselors and what's happening in the high schools now, and even on down, maybe into the junior highs at this point, there's a lot more realization that, everybody needs post-secondary education. No matter what you're going to do, you need certification, you need degree, you've got to have some skills. Yep. You don't want to get out of high school without skills because you're going to be in the fry line if you don't have those skills. And so we work with various high schools that have technology programs and help students understand what those opportunities look like, the pay scale that's available when you go into those opportunities, and that it is a really lucrative business. I mean, you think about drivers and technicians and guys that, maybe I'm not cut out to go to university.
Exactly.
I don't know that I want to sit there and just study books forever. Well, if I promise you, drivers and technicians, most of those guys make a whole lot more money than guys that sit there and have looked through books for 4 years.
There's no doubt about it. And I want to bring that up because, if you're out there and if you're looking for that opportunity, let me tell you something. In, with Bruckner's, the transportation, there's room in here for you. And I'm not dissing college drive safe, Dave. My daughter goes to Alabama, but I'm saying this, Roll Tide. But I am saying this, is that, you know what? Don't go just to go. There are some jobs out there, and if you're a mechanic, if you're mechanically inclined, let me tell you something. Working for a guy like Brian at Bruckner's, it's that family that you have there, because, and I want to talk about that because, Brian, it's not like they just have to go to Amarillo. You have a few stores out there, right?
Oh yeah, man. Colorado. Who doesn't like Colorado?
There you go.
Arkansas is a great place. Oklahoma. So go Sooners. We love Oklahoma.
There you go.
There's a lot of great places to go if you're interested in that industry. I think that there's challenges. I mean, you get to work on a lot of really high technology, leading edge products when you're involved in trucking and trucks, and it's exciting. I mean, you think about EV, and that's coming, and some of the autonomous stuff that's starting to come, and this is a high tech business. This isn't the old diesel shop that we knew even 10 years ago.
Right.
I mean, this is a radically different place than it was then.
Talk to me about give me some scuttlebutt on Volvo. Anything new coming out? What's the next big thing with Volvo coming out at the dealerships?
They keep us. We're like the mushrooms. They like that. They're like, we're not going to
in a closet somewhere, growing in a closet.
If they do show it to me, then they threaten me with my life and say if this gets out, the guys in black are going to come see me. They're going to put the helicopters. They're going to put the mines race on me or something. But
off to Ukraine.
But the EV is really starting to hit the marketplace. Volvo is a leader in EV. They have really some of the first commercialized vehicles in that space. So particularly in shore haul type runs, you think about ports,
last mile delivery.
We're starting to see EV. They're guys delivering beer bottles to the Miller plant out here. There's a couple of electric trucks they're going to be coming into service here in the next couple of months. They're going to be delivering the beer bottles out to the Miller plant.
Wow.
So do you have the infrastructure at the Bruckner facilities for the EV vehicles yet?
We're making that investment right now. Wow. So our Fort Worth location is going to be one of the first locations that we actually have charging stations.
Wow.
And we're able to do that. There is some tooling involved, and so we begin to source and bring in that tooling. There's a lot of training, and so right now we have technicians that are working on that training to be prepared as these vehicles come into the marketplace.
In my mind, I just see you pulling up in there. There's just extension cords everywhere, just people plugging them. You mean to tell me it's not that simple?
Running out with a battery pack.
Yeah. So you got to have 3-phase 480 volt to be able to hook up that charger.
So it's not that iPhone lightning cord. It's not that cord that we're talking about.
Well, and that battery that goes on that truck, that's 600 volt battery. So 600 volts.
Oh, that'll get you.
So yeah, it'll buzz you. I mean, you'll be a crispy critter if you short that sucker out. So I mean, the amount of safety. You guys talk about safety. Now, the amount of safety and the training. That's the biggest part of training, I think, with EV. Is understanding, how to handle that battery and that high voltage, and because that's like linemen on a lineman up on the pole when you're talking about that kind of voltage.
We move. I guess we've just gotten comfortable with combustibles, right?
Mm-hmm.
With liquids that will explode. We're okay with those.
Yeah, diesel's easy.
Yeah, diesel's easy. And then we moved and now we're moving to this stuff that you can't see, the danger you can't see, and it'll jump out and get you. Yeah, great.
I can see that.